Hi, I'm Michelai Graham, the Technically DC Market Editor. Technically is a news site that grows local technology communities by connecting organizations and people through news, events, and services. This is Technically DC Diaries, a pilot event series where I will talk to local technologists and startup leaders about themselves and why they do the hard and good work that they do. For this edition, I have with me Rachel Koretsky, DC Startup Week organizer and Upace founder. Thanks for joining, Rachel. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for having me today.
Of course, I'm excited. Let's hop into it. So first, can you tell me how you got into working in technology slash entrepreneurship?
Yes. So when I was in college at American University here in Washington, D.C., I noticed this problem with fitness and recreation of the on-campus gym where a lot of people stopped utilizing the center because they were busy or didn't feel comfortable or didn't have easy reservation-based systems as those reminders to get people to come in, get their routine. And I had this idea and I started working on it in the classroom, and two of my professors were starting an incubator program on campus, which is now known as the American University Incubator Program. They encouraged me to actually look at this idea and to make it a reality. And after I graduated, I decided to go for it
And you're doing UPace full time, right?
full time. And we're going on soon for year 6, which is crazy. Time flies.
Congratulations. And in the midst of this, you've also been organizing DC Startup Week. What's that been like, kind of leading both of those?
So when I was starting the company, I was kind of figuring out, do I want to stay in DC? I looked at other, ecosystems of Philadelphia, New York, Miami, of kind of looking at where my family is based, of what makes the most sense, the supportive ecosystem to help me as a female founder in tech. And what I learned is that DC had such a strong ecosystem that was so supportive of one another. I got involved with Vanetta Project, Hair Hub, and these organizations and groups that were really focused on helping as a woman going into the tech scene, especially at that time being like 21, 22, to help me learn and grow so many things where people were willing and offering to help. And that's where I really saw this importance of community. And then a couple years later, I decided to get involved with DC Startup Week of putting together year-long educational as well as networking events to really grow and build the community, which has now grown to over 11,000 community members across the DMV region, where every year we put on the big event, DC Startup Week, which was just happened in September, that was fully virtual. And we're hoping next year we could be in person together again. But we also look at doing monthly events that help founders connect, share resources, share pain points, share challenges, as really to helping that everyone can really grow and thrive as the ecosystem. And really we're able to do that only if we come together.
Absolutely. All right. So tell me, what does a day in the life of a startup founder and Startup Week organizer really look like? What are you doing?
So it's a combination. Definitely you wake up in the morning, I've been coming back to WeWork or working in the actual office space, which has been nice to kind of get out of like the home, since that's what it's been like for the last couple of months because of COVID-19. So definitely my work day is really focused on Upace, and my nights and weekends are where I work on, DC Startup Week. So I try my best to kind of keep it separated in terms of like work day versus, my side for DC Startup Week, but also the importance of, like self-care and having like balance. I was not good at that at the beginning. I was like work, day, night, so weekend. And it really wasn't until, recently when I got married of, having that other, person to, thank you, of kind of be like, okay, no, let's like go out to dinner, let's go on a walk together, of finding that balance. And I think that makes you as a better founder and CEO when you do have that balance where you could take a step back and have that time to reflect or that time for yourself. So that's something that I've been working on in my everyday of having more of a balance and knowing like when to put my computer down or my phone down and be like, it's okay to not answer this email right away when it comes in.
Yeah, definitely. That's awesome. So what's great about the DC tech community and what can it do better? I feel like you have a good grasp of this.
So I think what's really great about the DC tech community is how supportive it is. If you're going to reach out to a founder, even someone that you never even met before, typically you see a lot of the community here is will ask like, how can I help? How can I support you? What introduction can I make? And I think that is so important that I absolutely love about the ecosystem here. I think what we can do better is having more of an ecosystem that has more money that's coming into DC. So what I mean that is angel investors, VCs, investment groups to come in and invest in DC-based, companies. A lot of DC companies go to New York or San Francisco to go and access capital. But I also want to make DC a place where DC founders can access all the capital they need right here within the DMV region. So I think that's one thing, like as the startup community, that we can work on, especially as founders. Like once we do see success or an exit, if we want to get into that role of an angel investors, is to kind of give back to the community that you've grown your startup within.
Absolutely. I like that. So tell me, how has your work-life balance been since working from home? But now you said you're returning to WeWork. What's it been like kind of transitioning even from working from home back to WeWork?
So it's a combination of I try most days to kind of go back into the office space. I find myself being a little bit more productive when you're kind of forced to kind of go and get out of the house. And I like having just the walk there and back, makes so much of a difference where you can catch up with phone calls or just listen to the podcast or music on the way. That makes a huge difference. But definitely even from working from home all those months, it just taking that time where I was okay, every day at 5:00, I'm going to go for a walk or just get outside for a little bit and kind of sticking to that. So creating routines within the process. My company has grown at the midst of COVID-19 as we're helping a lot of fitness and community centers reopen because you need technology to reopen for COVID tracing and tracking, and our technology is able to help support that. So our days and weeks have been even crazier than it was before, which is a huge blessing, especially considering what the world is going through right now. But it's also meant, the schedule's been insane.
Yeah, for sure. So what does recharging on the weekends look like for you? You mentioned you try to keep a good balance between work and life.
So a combination of trying to do a fun activity, if it's going outdoors, for a hike or, putting on a yoga workout on the TV or something like that is always really nice. I'm a big component of sometimes of relaxing, watching a movie or watching your favorite TV show. So I'm a big component of that, as well as kind of having the mindless activity where you could just lay on the couch for a couple minutes or an hour or two and watch that. So that's definitely a lot of my weekends. I think now in the last couple of weeks, sometimes seeing friends doing, outdoor activities together, that it's, known to be a little bit safer if you do an outdoor barbecue or, social distance type of gatherings. So that's been nice to be able to do that, but we'll kind of see how that goes within the winter months of what ends up happening with not being able to be outside as much.
Yeah, I'm kind of nervous, but also kind of eager to see what creative ways me and my friends can come up with to still see each other and still be safe and not freeze while being outside.
Exactly.
So we'll
Everyone's got moved to Florida for 3 months and then come back right after.
Right. So where do you see yourself in 5 years, or where do you hope to be with Upace, with DC Startup Week in general?
So with Upace, I hope that we continue to grow as a company, grow with the amount of clients that we're able to support, as well as grow the team within the next 5 years, that our technology is at a point where we do a lot with data science and predictive analytics. I see that's a huge part of where the vision of the company is going to go. With DC Startup Week, I want to grow the week to be able to engage over 20,000 entrepreneurs within the DMV region. I think that is definitely an attainable goal over the next couple of years, but also to help evolve the ecosystem either further of, going beyond just putting on events and series of networking, as how do we kind of take our role to help the ecosystem continue to thrive and grow. If that's helping get more investors coming into the area or helping with the whole life cycle of entrepreneurship. So I see our role in that evolving over the next couple of years, as well as potentially putting on more one-day events or half-day events beyond, because we get a lot of feedback after each year of, we love the 5 days, but we want it to happen more times throughout the week. So if we could figure out different ways that we will be able to deliver on that, of kind of multiple mini DC Startup Weeks, Still trying to figure out what that could look like, but I could see that evolving. And then of course, growing a family and, taking that next step, like in my, personal married life.
Yes, definitely. So what motivates you every day to do this work that you do?
My biggest motivation, talking about Upace, my company, my full time, is working with the clients and hearing from their members of their success stories of how we made an impact, and especially during this time of COVID, being like we were only able to reopen because we were able to have your technology to be able to help us get there. And that's really empowering, knowing that you're helping businesses not only survive during the time of COVID to reopen their doors, get members back in, keep their staff employed, but you're also helping them thrive in the sense of being able to, keep their members safe and engaged by having access to that. So definitely over the last couple of months, it's been extremely rewarding and motivating hearing that, and then wanting to continue to help more across the industries to be able to do the same. So that's been my biggest motivator right now, is helping people. And then especially with DC Startup Week, bringing everything virtual this year. And we found it to be like even more important of this year when people are dealing with the pandemic and companies have, struggled and also thrived during this time, that we felt it was even more important to bring it on into a virtual aspect to help support and grow the ecosystem during this time when so many people are struggling or just don't know where to go, don't know where to turn, to be that resource. So that's extremely motivating, just knowing what's going on and hearing from founders and talking to them, figuring out what's the best way that we can continue to support them to make sure that you either have the best chance of survival, or also giving that motivation, encouragement, finding that mentor or that educational session that could allow them to take their startup to the next stage.
Absolutely. Awesome. All right. So this is my favorite question. If you could describe yourself in 3 words, what would those 3 words be?
Oh my God, it's like one of those like interview questions.
Yes. One of those interview questions.
Oh my God, okay. 3 words, if I would describe myself, I would say um, driven, empathetic, as well as courageous.
I love those. I could definitely attest to all 3 of those for you for sure. Good picks. Good picks. All right. Any last words? This could be your time to share any upcoming events or announcements from your organizations, or give a shout out to anything you'd like.
First, thank you for everyone who attended DC Startup Week this year. Definitely, if you're looking for resources or a community, have questions or wanting a mentor, educational sessions, look and follow us at dcstartupweek.org. All of our social media channels just at DC Startup Week, and utilize us as a resource. Ask us for help, ask us any questions, and we're really here to help support you. If you're a community rec center or working at any type of community rec center, meaning like a YMCA, a JCC, university, college, and that place is looking for technology to help reopen or help keep their members safe or engaged during the time of COVID, definitely reach out to us at just upaceapp.com. So here and happy to help on both fronts. And definitely for the DC Startup Week, we have monthly events that are going on. So our website, our newsletter is the best place to be able to go for that, as well as we're posting out all the virtual content on YouTube. So about every week we're doing 3 new 3 sessions that happen in DC Startup Week. We're posting them on YouTube. We're able to rewatch them back. And that's something that we post out every week on our newsletter.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Rachel. This has been Technically DC Diaries. I'm Michelai Graham. Thanks for watching and listening.